Imagine a Saturday morning cartoon that feels less like a toy commercial, more like a fever dream inspired by H.P. Lovecraft, body horror, and the kind of subterranean nightmares that make kids check under their beds. That was Inhumanoids, the 1986 animated series from Hasbro, Sunbow Productions, and Marvel Productions, animated by Toei Animation. Airing in syndication starting with shorts on Super Saturday before expanding to full episodes, this short lived show stood out in the crowded 1980s landscape of Transformers, G.I. Joe, and He Man by leaning hard into dark, grotesque sci fi horror, far more than most children's programming dared. The premise is deceptively simple. A team of elite scientists known as Earth Core, Dr. Armstrong, Dr. Bright, Dr. Auger, and Dr. Slattery, don high tech exosuits to explore the Earth's depths. Their mission turns dire when they unearth ancient colossal monsters called the Inhumanoids, long seated evils from the planet's core. These aren't cute villains, they're eldritch abominations designed to terrify. The main trio includes Meltar, the magma-powered leader, a hulking brute of molten rock and raw destructive force; Tendril, a massive plant-like creature with writhing vines that can enslave and crush anything; Decompose, a decaying zombie-like horror whose touch spread rot and reanimates the dead, including turning people into grotesque minions. However, Earthcore doesn't fight alone. They ally with the Mutors, benevolent elemental beings like the tree-like redwoods who originally imprisoned the Inhumanoids eons ago. Opposing them is the human villain Blackthorn Shore, a corrupt industrialist, no surprise, who deliberately unleashes the monsters for power and profit, adding a layer of greedy human evil to the cosmic threat. This series began as 15 short segments on the anthology Super Sunday in mid 1986, later compiled into a TV movie, Inhumanoids, The Evil That Lies Within, and expanded into 13 full half-hour episodes from September to December 1986. Early episodes focused on the origin discovering decomposed in an amber monolith, Blackthorn freeing Tendril, and the subsequent rampage that awakens Metlar. Later stories venture deeper underground, battle Russian military threats, deal with toxic waste horrors, and even feature bizarre plots like a living Statue of Liberty being romanced by Metlar.
They look like rejects from some museum. First, your place is a dump. Second, you got a gut. Lose it. And third, if you're expecting me to do the big hits with you'd better clean up your act. Hey, where's the TV?
Now here's where things get weird, because none of this is played as goofy cartoon nonsense. The series actually leans into the horror of the situation. Characters get transformed, people get trapped inside monsters, entire groups of scientists end up turned into mind-controlled undead. And this is the part you have to remember. Something about television in the 1980s. Networks had very strict departments called standards and practices, whose job was to make sure kids' shows didn't cross certain lines. Too much violence, too many frightening images, anything that might give kids nightmares. Those were all things that usually got toned down or removed entirely. But somehow, Inhumanoids kept sneaking past that line. One episode features a character being swallowed alive by Decomposed and trapped inside his body. Another has him turning people into decaying zombie slaves. There are scenes where characters visually deteriorate, rot, mutate, or drown in a toxic lake. For a show airing alongside things like Transformers and G.I. Joe, it felt like someone had accidentally broadcast a monster movie in the middle of the kids' block. That's part of what makes the show so fascinating today. Because while most toy-based cartoons of the era were designed to be safe and predictable, Inhumanoids had this weird, almost reckless energy to it. It felt as if the creators behind the Inhumanoids conjured up a hybrid of Sam Raimi's Evil Dead, Lovecraftian horror, aliens, and of course, Kaiju. And that, my friends, is a brilliant recipe. What made Inhumanoids visually and tonally distinctive was its heavy use of shadows, split screens, and a grim atmosphere. Voice acting added a modicum of clout. Chris Latta, mostly associated from G.I. Joe's Cobra Commander and Transformers Starscream, added a layer of terror and menace as Decompose. In an era where parents already scrutinized violent cartoons like Transformers and G.I. Joe, Inhumanoids pushed boundaries even further. Complaints flooded in from parents with reports of children having nightmares from the graphic content and unrelenting horror elements that felt more suited to late-night creature features than kids' television. Media critics and watchdog groups argued it crossed boundaries into inappropriate territory for young viewers, especially compared to the more heroic, optimistic tone of their contemporaries. The backlash wasn't the sole reason for cancellation, though. The associated Hasbro toy line large detailed monster figures and Earthcore suits underperformed commercially. The toys were expensive, bulky, top-heavy. They famously fell over easily and grotesque enough that many parents refused to buy them. Poor sales killed the line early, removing the need for toy-driven episodes. Freed from commercial constraints, the final 8 episodes ramped up the weirdness and darkness even more, embracing serial storytelling over episodic resets. But without strong merchandising revenue, the show ended after 1 season. Today, Inhumanoids enjoy cult status as one of the darkest 1980s cartoons, a bold experiment in horror for kids that arrived too early. Or was it too extreme for its time? It predated mature animated fare and showed what could happen when creators blended Lovecraftian influences with Saturday morning action. And while it never reached the mainstream success of its Hasbro siblings, its legacy endures among fans who remember the chill of those subterranean terrors, and the parents who made sure it stayed buried. So, if you're brave enough, the full series is out there. It's a reminder that sometimes the evil that lies within is exactly what made it unforgettable. And if you would like to see more buried gems unearthed, please give a like, share, hype, and subscribe. This is Pulp Vision.